Welcome, it's Raj from 3CB. Liverpool Football Club have confirmed that their central defender, Virgil van Dijk, arguably the best center back in the world, has suffered damage to multiple knee ligaments in his right knee. We know that one of those ligaments is a grade 3 full rupture to his anterior cruciate ligament, the ACL. The rest has been quite vague. If you want to know more on those possibilities, check out my video that I made when the injury happened on what the mechanism tells us about those possibilities. The team has further announced that he will have surgery. From what I've heard, it'll be in the upcoming week, likely because he has too much swelling right now to do the procedure. In that surgery, the surgeon will reconstruct the ACL, and then secondly, quite importantly, they're gonna look for what the extent of the damage is to the ligaments and also to the surrounding cartilage, particular cartilage and the meniscus. That surrounding damage then leads into what his return timeline may be, and that's likely why Liverpool has given an indefinite return timeline for now until they understand the full picture. For ACL ruptures alone, the typical return to play timeline for elite footballers is 7 to 9 months. There are some expedited return to play protocols where players do come back in 6, but there's data showing that those early returns can lead to increased re-injury risk in not only the damaged ACL, but also the other ACL, along with other compensatory issues. For example, Nebolo Zaniolo came back in about 5.5 months and ended up rupturing the non-damaged ACL quite quickly. Further, the key becomes the extent of the other damage. If, for example, VBD has a full MCL rupture, that's really not that big of an issue, and it's also quite common with an ACL rupture. It's not that big of an issue because the MCL actually heals quite well even when fully ruptured because it has a great blood supply. However, if he has damage to, let's say, PCL, that can lead to a longer return to play timeline. One example of that is Aston Villa's Wesley, who suffered damage to 3 ligaments on a mechanism similar to VVD and has now been out for 10 months. The next question becomes, can Van Dijk get back to being the same player he was before, and how does this affect his future moving forward? When it comes to ACL ruptures, the research does show that players get back to pre-injury levels, but what we know is that it often takes 18 to 24 months for players to return to their previous level of strength and conditioning and also get over the mental hurdle of the injury and return to full confidence and get through that fear of re-injury and fear of movement known as kinesiophobia. An example of that is Arsenal's Hector Bellerin, who is about 18 months into his recovery from ACL and is now just showing that return to previous form. When VVD does get back, there is an inherent increased risk for re-injury to the ACL and the other ACL along with compensatory risks. But that is inherent. You can't really change that. Some key positives he has going for him moving forward is that 1, his level of fitness prior to the injury was arguably one of the top in the world for his position, I think in football in general, and that level of fitness always bodes well moving forward after a procedure. Secondly, he has one of the best medical physio and training staffs at Liverpool and Melwood, which always bodes well for recovery and being able to mitigate re-injury and compensatory injury risk moving forward. Thirdly, he's a player who, although he possesses great athleticism and speed and jumping ability, has never relied on those things. His main strength as a defender is his ability to read the game. So when he's coming back, he can rely on that as his body and mind keep on acclimating back to his previous levels of fitness. lastly, and quite importantly, everything I've heard about VVD is that he's an extremely resilient individual and he sees things with a growth mindset. The statement that he released following the injury speaks to that directly. The key thing I want to emphasize to Liverpool and also Dutch fans is patience. This is a significant injury, and although outcomes have come a long ways, you have to understand just how much it involves to get back on the pitch and get back to 100%. Allow him the ability to recover without the added pressure, whether it's from Premier League or from Euros next summer.